Hello everyone and welcome to another royal reading. It's a rather miserable Friday afternoon as I'm doing this, cold and grey and damp. But anyway, cold and grey and damp in the place where allegedly Harry wants to purchase property. And that would be, yes, back in England. And the story's been kicking around for a while. We've heard that he's homesick, he's missing his friends, his clubs, all his old hangouts. And so we've looked at that, but now it's getting serious. Now there is talk that he is house hunting. He is intent on purchasing property in the UK. He wants the family to spend more time in the UK, children, I assume. And he is house hunting. He wants to divide his time between the UK and the US. This is according to the most recent version or iteration of the story. And this allegedly is causing friction with Meghan Markle, who has no interest in going back to the UK. And I have seen that. That seems to me to be true from all the readings that I have done looking at her energy. She has no interest in ever setting foot in the UK again. The article goes on to say that he won't be asking for property on the royal estate. Well, I should jolly well hope not. Having been evicted from Frogmore Cottage, it would be a bit rich to say, "Oi, give me a house, please." He will be buying his own place just outside London, and we know he's quite tight-fisted, and we also gather that the Parkles are pretty broke at this stage. Well, certainly all the readings that I do on them show signs of financial trouble. So that's interesting that he thinks he's going to buy property. I wonder who might be helping him buy that property. We're not going to look at that now. We're just going to look generally at what's going on, because of course there are court cases still going on in the UK. It would help him to have somewhere to lay his hat. It would be useful, of course, for a councillor of state. He still technically is one. He needs a UK residence, and so this would help out there as well from his point of view, not anyone else's. I'm sure nobody wants Dumbo to be a councillor of state. So that's the story. And then it slid into this article is the throwaway comment that staying at Kensington Palace from time to time isn't out of the question. So as I said, a bit of a cheapskate. Why buy a house when you can rent at KP or stay there for free? But the renting thing is also an iteration of the story of has been wanting some sort of home back in the UK. And this one is that he has applied formally to rent an apartment at Kensington Palace. And so we're going to look at that as well. We're going to look at that from his point of view now. We're going to look at it from the royals' point of view in the following reading. So then Sedan NT has stepped in and said that the property will be in Harry's name only in the UK. Not sure how that would work. I don't know what kind of marital property regime he and Meghan have. But anyway, it says it will be in his name only. And I'm quoting, considering how far away it is from where the wife lives, it will be for when he finally decides enough is enough. In other words, divorce. So lots going on, lots to look at. Let's show you, I have the Wandering Star Tarot on the tarot table for this one, because we are dealing with a wandering star who is rather homeless at this point and seems to feel the need for a home. There are, of course, musical chairs going on with the royals and the property and Royal Lodge and Adelaide Cottage and Frogmore Cottage and Windsor Castle and Buckingham Palace and all the rest of it. Plenty of places to stay. So we're going to have a look and see how he feels, how Meghan feels with the Wandering Star Tarot about buying a house or renting in the UK. We're going to ask, is he looking at buying? Is he looking at renting? At Kensington Palace. So we're going to ask why. Just generally, we might see court cases showing up, we might see councillor of state showing up, and then we're going to ask specifically, is this for divorce, if it is on the cards, if it is going to happen. And then we're going to ask who might be staying there. Kids, Meghan, and our final question will be, when is this likely to happen? It does seem, as I say, that he is very intent on this. We keep hearing this story. It's being floated in various guises. And this story that I'm referencing today says that Harry is the one driving this. This is not having to ask permission from Meghan to do something. This is Harry driving this forward. So not asking who's going to pay, not asking anything like that. I just want to know what's going on. Feelings, buying, renting, why, divorce, who will live their kids, Meghan, and when is this likely to happen? How soon? Time frame. Don't often ask that kind of question with tarot, but today we're going to take a chance and we are going to ask. And let's remind you as I lay the cards out, checking that I've got the right number of cards out here. Always write it down so universe knows what's going on. It's tarot, remember that, for fun and entertainment, or my opinion, or speculation. I read energy here, archetypal energy, and disclaimer in the box below. We have got the Fool in reverse as our underlying energy. That is somebody who has been very stupid, the Fool in reverse, very reckless, has done something silly, has run out of options, and isn't going to get another start. They literally aren't getting another chance to go round the wheel. And so he's in a tricky situation, Harry. He's done something very stupid. That's the energy of the card. That's also my opinion, and I suspect it's also the royal family's opinion. It might even at some level be his own opinion. It depends how self-aware he is. I don't think he's self-aware at all, but it might just be beginning to dawn that he has made a terrible mistake with his life. And the Fool in reverse is telling us that. It's also telling us he's not getting a fresh start in his life. So going back to the UK would not be a fresh start. It would be going home, crawling home in disgrace, in shame. That's the energy that's coming off that card. So let's look at the actual situation. What are we dealing with? We're dealing with the Eight of Pentacles. We're dealing with work and mastery and effort. The Ace of Pentacles is all about effort. I'm not seeing much effort being put into a situation here, except that the Ace of Pentacles does tell me Counselor of State, and that really is his only job. And I use that term very loosely, and I'm trying not to get the giggles when I say that. Technically he is Chimpo, but as far as I understand things, I do vaguely keep tabs on what's going on with Better, the royal grift, every now and then. Reports back, and as far as I'm aware, they are pretty much selling up in California and moving to cheaper place, Texas, downscaling. Things aren't going very well, and they are looking at ways of getting shot off their chimpo. So I don't think that's really going very well. Archie Well is just a joke at this point, really. What else? He's not giving speeches. Nobody wants him to give speeches. He gave one all about Mummy Diana, and certainly not an author. He's produced one book which led to a lot of derision, and the South Park episode on Where, and he's supposed to write more, but apparently, according to Neil Sean, I think it was Neil Sean, and all of these wild stories do come from Neil Sean, he's trying his hand at writing crime fiction now. Again, the giggles. So yeah, so pretty much his only job that he has, that he knows how to do, well, he's never had to do it, but it's not really, I think, provided you have a pen that doesn't leak, you can be a Counselor of State. Someone would say, read this and sign here, probably, and Major Johnny perhaps, but it's a bit terrifying to think that Has-Been could be in charge of things if something awful happened in the UK. But there it is. That's what's coming to me with that Eight of Pentacles. This for him is to get back into circulation in the UK, be a working royal. Yes, I know, you're all screaming with horror, but it's his feelings. It's not anyone else's. It's not the royal feelings. It's his journey, that he is on the Fool's journey in reverse. So yeah, you can see how well that's going to work out when you've got the Fool in reverse as the underlying energy. This is hell no energy. You're not going to get another chance at this. You messed up, and no. So that's a long-winded way of explaining these cards, but that was the energy that came through. So have a look now at him. How keen is he to have a foothold back in the UK? Seven of Swords in reverse. Ooh, this is the confession. This is the coming home after leaving under a cloud energy. The Seven of Swords, you do leave under a cloud. You sneak away under cover of darkness, possibly with the family jewels in your haversack, and off you go. It's a card of deception, dishonesty, cowardice, ghosting people. It's in reverse, having to confess, having to do the walk of shame. That's the Seven of Swords in reverse. I did mention that he wouldn't be coming back covered in a trail of glory. He would be coming back, slinking back, with a sort of hangdog energy about him. And there it is, Seven of Swords backs me up. It tells me exactly what's going on. He's not excited about this. He's not thinking, oh, that's wonderful, I'm so excited to be going back to the UK. This is slinking back, having to confess, being embarrassed, being ashamed, being accused of stuff, but he doesn't really have anywhere else to go. How about Madame, this one's wife, as people are now calling her? How about this one's wife? How interested is she in owning property in the UK or renting an apartment at Kensington Palace? Three of Pentacles. She'll do anything at this stage. Anything. Well, that's interesting, because her energy is changing. Her energy previously was absolutely not, I'm never going to set foot in that dreadful place ever again. But now she's a woman in need of something to do, some sort of opportunity to merge, to collaborate with people. She has been trying very hard to get Kris Jenner to invite her onto the Kardashian show, and she's tried all kinds of other things, but failed. So she needs something. She needs an enterprise, success, talent. Well, we know she doesn't have any talent, so we can scratch that keyword out of the Three of Pentacles. That's not just in my opinion, it's most people's opinion who have watched Suits and the various other things she's acted in. Wooden and talentless grifter, I think. We've heard that before. That's not my opinion, that's a professional opinion of people who have worked with the Parkles, talentless grifters. So there we are, talentless grifter in need of some sort of gig. So she would do it if it meant work, if it meant she could merge, if it meant she could pretend to be a royal, working royal again. She's that desperate that she would actually contemplate it. So that is interesting. Buying or renting? Let's look at buying first. So has been going to spring for a vast mansion. Five of Cups in reverse. Oh, this is woe and tragedy, sorrow and loss, absolute sorrow and loss, because of course they lost their house that they hated so much, Frogmore Cottage, that many people suspect they never actually even lived in. A lot of people think that they stayed at Soho House in the Cotswolds and never actually lived in that place. That cost something like £2 million to refurbish for themselves, and then they sublet it to Eugenie and her husband, and then were caught out and had to scramble to get themselves out of that mess. So this is not somebody who wants to spend money. This is somebody who feels very woeful about this. It's a source of sorrow. It's a source of regret, pain for him to have to spend inordinate sums of money. You don't just, buy a cheap house near London, not at all. So he's going to have to spend a lot of money, and this is painful for him if he does have to do it. He doesn't want to do it. He would rather get back on the royal estate, get a freebie from his dad, but of course dad not taking phone calls from him at this stage. I am not a bank. I'm also not an estate agent, or whatever you call them in your part of the world. That's what we call them here. So how about renting an apartment at Kensington Palace? How is this going, or how does this grab him? Oh, Five of Wands in reverse. Conflict card, competition. I would say it's much more intense than debate and defense. These keywords, maybe, sometimes. But Five of Wands in reverse is conflict. It's pure and simple. And it's conflict in a family, in a group, in a team. It's trying to outwit your fellow teammates, trying to outdo them, outshine them, push them out the way so that you can get to the top of the heap. And of course, as I said, there is some kind of musical chairs going on in the royal family now, with property, vast estates and mansions available, but some clinging on for dear life, Andrew and Fergie. Some not wanting to be where they should be. Buckingham Palace, for instance, nobody wants to be there, with the rats and the builders and the public traipsing through and getting their cold tea and stale sandwiches afterwards, according to that review I watched a while back. So it's conflict, it's battling about this, but it's defeat, the Five of Wands in reverse. He would like it, I would say, and it would meet her approval and expectations, because it's Kensington Palace. They no doubt would want the apartment that Diana was in, and William and Catherine obviously have their apartment. I'm sure they still do have it for when they're in London and need a place to stay, and it would suit from that point of view, because it would be equal. It would be only what they expect in life. But that card in reverse tells me no chance. It's not going to happen. You don't get another go. Fool in reverse. You messed up. You were stupid. You were ungrateful. You don't get another chance, and you've defeated here. Whatever ambition you had, gone. You lost. And so we've got two fives in reverse here in this segment. This is not happy. This is someone who's very miserable, who's feeling very defeated. Everything has gone wrong. And so I'm not getting a winning card here in terms of, is he going to buy property or is he going to rent at Kensington Palace? Neither of them is dancing up and down saying, me, pick me, pick me. This one is more likely, the Five of Cups in reverse, that he would have to purchase something and try and lick his wounds and try and get over the tragic loss of Frogmore Cottage and his marriage and his hopes and dreams and his popularity and everything else. This one I'm getting, the royals are just saying absolutely not, and I have read on that before as far as I can recall. And got absolutely not. So let's have a look at why. Just a general why. We've already got the Eight of Pentacles, which is a bit of an answer. So why? Two of Swords, he's reached a crossroads in his life, a turning point, a decision point, where he has to act decisively. He's got to pick a path. It said in that article that I read from in the beginning of this reading that he wants to divide his time between the US and the UK. But that card, the Two of Swords, is telling me it's not that. He has to choose. Does he want to live in the US post-divorce, in my opinion, or does he want to go back to the UK, miles and miles away from her, but also miles and miles away from the children, those mystery children? So he's reached a massive turning point in his life, and he doesn't know which is the best option for him. They're both kind of toxic. They both are unpleasant options. Two of Swords, you never look at the options and think, oh, that's wonderful, because then it would be easy. This is difficult decisions, and neither of them is appealing. And this is the Seven of Swords in reverse. He's going to have to go and grovel, and he's going to be received with coldness and disdain. So, turning point. Doesn't know which way to turn. How about divorce? Is this a bolt hole for when the divorce finally happens, as NT at Sea Dance speculates, the blind item there? We're just testing energy, of course, and looking at rumors. This is the Creator. It's got a no underneath it. So when you're asking a yes-no question in this tarot deck, you get a no answer. So technically, no, it's not about divorce. But if you read what it says here, it signifies a powerful energy brewing in the atmosphere around you. It may feel overwhelming and tinged with undertones of darkness. Indeed, you may feel the urge to run and find shelter from the storm. The card is also here to remind you of the power of the word no. No to things that overwhelm or undermine. No to people who drain your life source. How about that? It ends with choose wisely. He has got to make a choice, and this tells him choose wisely. And I'm very sure that he's not going to be watching this tarot reading, but if he were to watch it, it would say choose wisely, say no to people who are toxic, and say yes to things that are positive and healthy. This is divorce. This is shelter in the storm. According to this card, the Creator card from the Wandering Star Tarot, he needs somewhere to shelter and lick his wounds and get away from a toxic situation. He's planning for it. He's definitely planning for it. So let's have a look and see who might be living in this house or apartment or whatever it is he's going to be buying. Has been. The idea of has been looking after a house is always beyond imagining to me. I can't see it. Even though in that cut interview he was described as muttering or shuffling around. He might even have been barefoot, wandering around, muttering about blocked pipes or something like that, doing some plumbing. Myself can't see it, but anyway, perhaps he is capable of some form of work. Eight of Pentacles. First of all, let's look at the kids. Will the kids be living there with him? Those mystery children. Oh my goodness. Death. This is the card of endings and transformation. It says new beginnings. That's a kind version of the death card. The death card is harsh endings, things you have to let go of. So know the children won't be there. He will be leaving them behind in California, those mystery children, and going away in sorrow, Five of Cups, and misery. Back to the UK, back in shame and disgrace and having to confess things. And I have done a reading on a rumour that one of the things he might have to confess is the true nature and true status of those children. Interesting. So the death card does not tell me as a tarot reader that Archie and Lilibet will be spending much time, if at all, in this new home that Harry is finding for himself back in the UK. Doesn't look like that at all. How about this one's wife, the darling wife? Will she be spending any time there? And we get the Five of Pentacles in reverse. What an interesting card this is. Because this is somebody who wants to come in from the cold. This is somebody who has been ruined financially, who is quite ill and disordered at some level, who is vulnerable, frail, ill, failing, exiled, and wants to come back in. What did the Three of Pentacles tell us? She needs something to do. He needs something to do. She needs something to do. Everything is failing in California. And so she would actually contemplate it with the Five of Pentacles in reverse. She would like to. I'm getting the idea, but out of pure desperation. The thing is with the Five of Pentacles in reverse that you can read it in one of two ways, or one of many ways, in fact. You can read it as wants to come back in from the cold, is going to do her best to come back in from the cold, or absolutely out in the cold and doesn't stand a snowball's chance in hell of ever being back in any royal adjacent property in the UK. And I'm going with that latter energy. She might want to come back. She's desperate enough now to think that this isn't such a bad idea, and as a result these rumors and these stories might actually be coming from her. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. We've got 3 fives in this reading, and we've got the Death card. These are cards of change and conflict and chaos, and Harry is right in the middle of it, and he's right in the middle of it because he's been a big idiot, or idiot as I do like to say. Outcome, when is this likely to happen? Give us a time frame for the return. King of Cups. It's I would say it's while Charles is still on the throne, and I mean the royal throne, not the other throne. King of Cups, before William gets his hands on the throne. This is while Daddy's still around, because Daddy is kind, warm-hearted, it says, compassionate, empathetic. Daddy will make it happen. Daddy will say, never mind, darling boy, here's the deposit, or in fact the full amount for your house, and everything will be okay. You can come back while the rest of them will be tearing their hair out. This is the thought. This is the thought process. It's got to make it happen. Everyone thinks the clock is ticking. Charles turns 75 next month, just a day before my birthday, in fact, and I'm not turning 75. He's in a rush. He's in a rush to make sure this happens while Daddy is still the reigning monarch and William is not yet installed. So he's got some time. A lot of people say that Charles might have a 5-year plan, and he's done his first year of it possibly, and so maybe by the time he's 80 he'll be out of there. I think that the marriage will be over next year, and this is all going to happen a hell of a lot sooner, but this is while Charles still has the deciding vote, shall we say. This is what Harry realizes he's got to do, and wants to be around in the UK so he can be Councillor of State with the 8 of Pentacles. Charles has got some overseas trips planned, not necessarily in the best of health, has been in his stupidity, in his ignorance, in his blindness to his own faults and how everyone else perceives him, still thinks that he has a hope of being a Councillor of State. But all these cards on this tarot table tell me terrifying tale of failure and weakness and loathing and just desperation. She desperate as well, but it looks like they're going to be blocked, at least from Kensington Palace, and she blocked, it seems, from the whole deal. We're going to look at it next, and thanks for watching this one, and I hope to see you over there.